Hello everybody, Jennifer from Scrapping Under the Influence, back with a new design team project for Country Craft Creations. This is my second project using Echo Park's Magical Birthday Boy paper. So this is their Disney-inspired birthday paper that's meant more for boys. They do have a girls version that has a lot of pink undertones and whatnot, but the boy one is more of the traditional like Disney colors, so the red and the yellow and that kind of thing. So I have just done a very simple folio that's focused mostly on, spots for pictures and stuff from, if you've celebrated a birthday at a park or you've done like a Disney themed birthday party or something to that effect. So I've just got the banner stickers from the sticker sheet and the balloons and the cake and the little birthday sign here just popped up. And same thing with the little Make-A-Wish sticker. When you open it up, on the left-hand side here, we have a big text spot, and I've just got some of the 4x6 cut-aparts matted as photo mats. We've got a small 5x7 waterfall right here. When you open this up, we've got plenty of space for big pictures because, again, if you've been in the parks, the PhotoPass pictures are always portrait style. You can always get them printed out in 5x7. It's just perfect for something like this. So we got another photo spot here, and then we've got a double waterfall. So I've got a 4x6 waterfall on top that I've just matted with the cut-aparts, and then a 4x4 that, again, just matted with the cut-aparts again. And then you've got space underneath here that you could add some more pictures as well. So these tuck in here like so to hold that side closed. On this side, I've got a ribbon closure spot for 5x7 on the front of this flap. Another spot here and here. This opens up. You've got another 5x7 spot here, and then you've got an expanding pocket down here for all your loose photos, memorabilia. If you wanted to do some extra photo mats and that kind of thing and put in here, you can. But this is held closed with a magnet. Not that it really needed it because this part comes down over and closes, but I still wanted to put one in there. So there you go. Just simple matting on the front and back, or I'm sorry, the spine and the back. I did go over this with some Spectrum Noir sparkle ink over the front of this, so you'll see there's kind of a shimmer to it. But there you go. There's the project. Tutorial will start next. Okay, first off, let me apologize. My son is out in the hallway there with another kid playing Nerf guns, and this new kid is really loud, so... Okay, so for our folio, you need one piece 10.5 by 1.5 for the spine, and then you need two pieces 8 by 10.5 for the covers. To wrap the covers, we need two pieces 10 by 12. We're going to use our 1-inch spacers. Did I cut this wonky or something? Anyway, sorry, they are really loud. Oh my gosh, I may have to do this later. Yeah, I don't know who this new kid is, but my gosh, he likes to yell. Okay, so I'm just getting my backing off of my score tape. And we're just going to use our guides, make sure paper's all the way at the top. Use our guides and drop that down. Except I just realized, okay, so you're going to have an inch at the top and the bottom. You're not going to have an inch on the side, so you don't want to use your 1-inch spacer for the side. You're going to want to kind of eyeball it because you're only going to have 3/4 of an inch. So this side on mine will just be short, and that's fine. We'll do it right on this next one. Okay, so we're only going to use one of the spacers, and we're just going to kind of eyeball so that this ends up right about 3/4 of an inch. And if you want to use one of your spacers and put it at the 3/4 of an inch mark and let it just kind of sit on the side so you have kind of a visual of where it needs to go, we can do it like that. So all I'm doing is just kind of holding that so that this is at 3/4 of an inch, and then I can just bring my chipboard in like this, push it up against that other spacer, and then drop it down once it has the backing off. Okay, so I've got that outside spacer at 3/4. All right, and then down we go. All right, so those are both good. For our spine, we're going to have the same problem with the 3/4 of an inch, but we can use our 1.5 on the side on this one. And I'm just going to actually turn it so we can do the same thing again. So 4.5 by 12 to wrap your spine. You're going to have 1.5 border along the long sides. You're going to have 3/4 of an inch top and bottom. I don't know where his normal little buddy is, but this kid's kind of annoying. Okay, so there we go. And we're finished with our spacers. So I'm going to get these out of the way. Okay, let's get that scoreboard out of the way for a minute. Okay, so for our spine, we're going to go ahead and fold this over and burnish. Fold and burnish. And we're going to fold our sides in and burnish. Okay, so let me grab my scissors. So we're going to cut out that little rectangle that was formed when we folded and burnished around the chipboard. No. No. Okay. Okay. So once you've done that, I'm grabbing that poker. You're going to fold this in, and you'll see how you've got just a little bit of a bump that sticks out there. You want to miter that ever so slightly. And we're not going to be super aggressive because I think on this one, normally when I put the spine down, I put it to these two wings to the inside of the book. And I'm kind of debating on this one if I'm going to do it to the outside on this one. And I think I might. So if you're going, because you can do that with the Easy Wrap method. You would then come in here with your 1/8 inch score tape to leave yourself space on either side of that chipboard for your gusset. And then when you, of course, pretend this is wrapped at this point, then you would, put these down just like you used to with the old style. You're just not going through that whole process where you're attaching all these sheets together and then you're having to bend and fold that whole huge thing. You're still doing it in your separate pieces, but you can do it to the outside. If you're going to do that, when you go to miter the wings on this, you need to be kind of careful that you don't get too aggressive because it does end up looking weird on your book. Even though it's getting matted over, it still ends up looking kind of funny. Yeah, I'm about to tell this kid he needs to go home. This is ridiculous. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and attach these two down. You can do a combination of score tape and glue, which is what I'm going to do. You can do it just glue as well. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to burnish that down. And I'm going to get my little pokey tool and get my backing off of my score tape. And then I'm going to get my glue, which has been ultra clogged lately, so I'm going to take the metal tip off. A paper towel just in case. So I'm going to use my bone folder. I'm going to push the cardstock up against the edge of the chipboard and then over and burnish it down. If you have anything that sneaks out, just go ahead and wipe that off. Okay. And again, over and down, and there's your spine piece. So for the covers, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to use the chipboard to fold our cardstock. I'm going to fold it over and burnish, and fold it over and burnish again. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut out those little squares. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to fold that in and miter anything that kind of sticks out there. It'll just give you a much cleaner corner when you fold this over. Okay, so again, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to run my score tape around the edge of the chipboard. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and burnish this down. Alright, I like to I'm going to go ahead and pull the backing off on all four sides. No, you're not going in the storage room. No, not right now. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to get some glue in that space, and you're going to want to run it up against the chipboard. And then I'm just going to take the bone folder, push that up, and then over and burnish it down. I'm going to do my short sides first. It doesn't matter if you do the long first. It doesn't matter if you go, just around and do them as you work your way around. I tend to do short side and then long side. But that's just personal preference. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. We need to fold it first, but I'm going to go ahead since I'm here and do my score tape on the chipboard. We don't want to do it on the rest until after we fold because it makes it a little bit harder to fold it. So, sorry, I'm getting... It's this new kid out there that's throwing me off. Okay, so again, we're going to fold and burnish. You'll see my side on this side's really short because I forgot about my size difference, but that's okay. It'll still work. In theory. No, I know it'll work because I've done it with like 11 by 11 chipboard where you literally just have that tiny border. It'll work. It's not ideal. But if you do those ends at 3/4 of an inch instead of 1 inch, you won't have this problem. You are not playing video games. Okay, so we're just mitering our corners again. Okay. And now we'll, excuse me, finish with the score tape. Okay. Burnish those down again. And like I said, you can do this entirely with glue. But I have a little bit of an issue with some carpal tunnel and some stiffness in my right hand. So you have to kind of, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I have to put more pressure on it and burnish it more when I do it with just glue, and that tends to really aggravate like right through here on my hand. So that's why, even though I know I can do it the other way, I tend to still stick with the combination of the glue and the score tape. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull all of my backing off. Okay, So again, and I'm going to start with my little tiny side. And again, up and over. So see, it does work even with that little tiny edge. Okay, and one more. All right, so we've got our covers, we've got our spine. Normally, we would attach it like so. To adjust that camera, it's like all of a sudden been really weird lately. I don't know. Okay, so normally we would do it like this, so that that flap goes to the inside, and then you have your inside piece to reinforce that. This time we are going to do it so that it goes to the outside. Okay, so these are going to go down on here like so, and it's going to wrap to the outside. I know there's several people that do this. Somebody at one of the retreats actually had shown us this. Quarter inch. Actually, no, I do have the 1/4 inch score tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/4 inch score tape, and I'm going to put this down right next to the chipboard. Okay? Because this is going to act as our spacer to make sure we leave enough room so that it doesn't crack when we attach our covers. Okay? So those are there. And then just again, to help it just stick faster, I'm going to run one more piece along the outside edge. This is kind of funny. My son sounds annoyed, and he sounds just like me when I'm annoyed. And I'm finding this really funny. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my spine on my scoreboard, okay? I am going to go ahead, where my pokey tool went, and I'm going to get my score tape off, and then I'm going to get glue. Okay, and I'm going to use my scoreboard to make sure that these get lined up exactly. And I'm only going to go to the edge of that score tape that we put in the middle. And I'm going to push that down and get it out here and burnish it down. Okay, so there you go. Now, I'll do the same thing again with the other side. We're going to get our glue. Okay, and again, we're going to use the scoreboard so that they're lined up. And then there it goes. Okay. And I am going to burnish all of that down. And there you go, there's your cover. So we are still going to do our reinforcement piece on the inside. So I do have score tape over the back of this. This is 10 3/8 by 6. Okay. So before I put that down, because otherwise I will totally forget, because I always do on those rare occasions I do it this way, I'm going to go ahead and pull the backing off of that score tape. I'm going to get, I do have tape all over the back of this that I'm going to get off right now. And then I'm actually going to turn this sideways so I can, oops, I've got a little bit of tape hanging out over the edge here. That I got all that, but apparently not. You don't want your tape when you're doing this, you know, this full coverage on these, you don't want it coming over the edge, because that spot will literally attract every bit of dirt and dust as your book ages. Okay. So I'm just going to line this up. Get it mostly centered. Put that down. And then somewhere here, I lost my other eraser. Oh my gosh, I hope not. I'm going to go ahead and erase my measurement off of there. I mean, it'll get covered with matting, but just in case. Okay, so we've got that down. I'm just going to burnish this down, and then I'm going to bend the book. You'll see how it then pops in right there. Take the other end of my bone folder, and I'm just going to work that down into that crease. There we go. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Work that down into the crease. Knock the glue over again, because of course. And then fold that all the way over. And there you go. There is how you do the easy wrap method with the wrapping on the spine to the outside, so you don't have that little gap that we normally get when doing that. And then we can just kind of square up that edge just with a bone folder. Okay. There you go. So there's our base. Let me grab a couple things and get some stuff organized. I'll be right back and we'll work on our inside. All right, so let's work on our left side. And I don't know why this says right flap, because it's not, it's left. So you're going to have one piece that is 8.5 by 10 1/4, and one piece that is, one of these is too big. I thought it looked weird, but I couldn't decide if I was just imagining it or not, because one of these is 10.5. You know what, I'm going to leave it. I think we'll be okay. All right, sorry about that. So 8.5 by 10 1/4, with the 8.5 side at the top of the scoreboard. You're going to score out. Let me slide that up. 1 inch, and then again at 1.5. Okay. Oh, I know why, because that one's the one that goes on the right side. That's why. Our other flap is going to be 8.5 by 10.5. And again, with the 8.5 at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score at 1 inch, and then you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And I have scored these already just because I was trying to make sure I had everything cut right, because I actually cut this project like 2 weeks ago and just have not had time to get back to it until today. So I'm going to move that for a second. Let's go ahead and get these two flaps in, because we need them in before we do everything else. So the one that is slightly smaller, the 10 1/4, I'm just going to fold on that 1 inch score line, and we're going to go ahead and attach that down in here and just center it up. Okay. I'm not going to fold my 1/2 inch score line until I've got this in the book. Just makes it easier to get it lined up where you're not looking at the wrong fold as you're trying to put it in the book and line it up. I'm going to turn this to the side, and we are going to go almost all the way to the edge of the chipboard here. And center it top to bottom. And make a giant mess with the glue because that's just how today is going. Okay, so we're going to take our other flap. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to fold the first tab over, and we're going to glue that on this outside, and this will run top to bottom. Actually, hold up. No, it's fine. Never mind, for some reason I was thinking I had something I needed to do on here other than that, but I don't. Okay, so once those are down, then you can go ahead and fold back that second flap so that you've got your little 1/2-inch gusset. I just find it easier to do that after it's in the book rather than before. So the smaller one, whoops, it's up to you if you want the bigger one to be on top or if you want the smaller to be on top. Either way is going to work. So let's do our waterfalls. We're going to have 2 waterfalls that are going underneath that flap. The first one is a small one. You need 5 pieces, 4 5/8 by 4 1/8. You're going to score all of those at 1/2 inch with the 4 5/8 at the top of the scoreboard. Okay. The other one is going to be 4 5/8 by 6 1/8. So these will hold your 4 by 6 pictures that are portrait style instead of landscape, because I know if you're like me, you get lazy and you end up just holding your phone up and taking the picture, so it ends up in that orientation. So with the 4 5/8 at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score all 5 of those at 1/2 inch. Okay. Next, we have a waterfall, a 5 by 7 waterfall. So this is going to be 5 1/8 by 7 5/8. So with the 7 5/8 at the top, you're going to score this at 1/2 inch on all 3. Okay, set those aside. And then we're going to have a little tuck spot. So you do actually, when we're doing this, the smaller one is going to go on top because this tuck spot is going to sit on this side over here. And we're just going to take one of the cut aparts and slide that underneath there. But before we do that, let's go ahead and put our 2 waterfalls in. I am going to start, before I fold anything, I'm just going to kind of lay these in here to kind of get an idea of where my spacing is going to be. And really what we need to do is we do need to mat underneath them before we put these down. Okay, so I need to grab the paper, and I'm not sure where I put it. We'll come back to the waterfalls. That, and I'm not sure where my ribbon is. But in the meantime, we can go ahead and do our waterfall that's going to go on the front right here. And I'm going to go ahead and erase my measurement off of that. Okay, so this is going to be our 5 by 7 waterfall. And I'm going to turn this upside down. And you're just going to center it on this big flap, which again actually needs matted before we do that. I see, this is why I really hate when I end up cutting something and then I don't have time to finish it off the same day that I'm cutting it, because then I forget weird little things like this. So I'm going to find my pattern paper. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry for the confusion there. So I found my ribbon. I'm going to keep this red and white stripe to use as a closure for the book. So I'm going to set that one aside. I've got this adorable black rickrack that is adhesive backed. So at least I think it's adhesive backed. Maybe I'm making stuff up. Let me look. For some reason I thought it was. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe not. No, I don't think that is adhesive backed, is it? Yes, it is. Aha! It's just kind of hard to get that backing off. So I'll end up using this somewhere to decorate, probably on photo mats and whatnot as we get further into this. So I'm going to set that one aside as well. So I've got my little black and silver circle ribbon, and then I've got, of course, red seam binding because, of course, seam binding is awesome. I think I'm going to go ahead and use, which actually I needed to have not tacked that down yet. Dang it. You know what? We're not going to tie our waterfalls. If you wanted to, you would need to put that ribbon down before you put the pattern paper down. See, I'm telling you, this is why I can't, like, you know, hit pause and come back to this 2 weeks later. Because literally my brain just does not function at that point. All right, so we are going to start with putting one of each size of our waterfall pieces down before we do the entire waterfall, just so that we can make sure that we've got them spaced where we want them. Okay, so I want this one to come down just a bit more. Back up just a touch. Okay, let's start with my small one. Grab my bone folder. As you can see, I've gotten tired of fighting with the metal tip on my glue, so it's not on right now. Okay, then I'm going to do our other one. I'm not going to erase my writing on this just because I know I'm going to mat over that, so it's not a big deal. One lined up over here. Okay, there we go. So we can go ahead and do the rest of our waterfall. I'm going to do my little one first. And I do like to build mine upside down. I can line everything up better doing it that way than if I try to keep the album turned the other direction. I don't know why. It goes right along with having to use my scoreboard sideways, but there we are. Okay. Okay. 2 more to go. Okay. And on my last one, rather than attach it down that way, we're actually going to leave it. We're still going to, you know, fold our score line, but we're not going to fold it under and attach it like this. We're going to attach it over here so that when you open that last flap, you don't have that little tab sitting there. All right, so there is our first waterfall, and I'm just going to come in here, burnish that down. And there you go. Turn it just a tiny bit. We'll work on our other side. I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish all of these right now. And that last one will do the same thing with folding it back and forth. Okay. If you wanted to round your corners on any of this, you absolutely could do that. I'm going to leave mine this time. I'm kind of on the fence with what pictures I'm going to end up using in this, because my Disney ones I will end up actually getting pictures into, just because that is our family's thing and we love to go. Or this is birthday paper, even if it is the birthday boy paper. We did go to Disney World for my 40th birthday. I've also, I don't remember what year it was, I had my birthday at Disneyland one year as well, so it could go either way, really. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and burnish all of these down again one more time. Just get that crease good and set. Okay, so on our two inside parts of our flaps here, all we're going to do on these is just photo mats with some strips of pattern paper to just give lots and lots of space for pictures. Let's go ahead and attach our tuck spot on this side. So this is our 10 1/2. I don't know why it says 10 1/4. That's wrong. And it needs to be erased. And I don't know where my eraser went. There it is. On the larger 10 1/2 inch flap, so the one that's going to go underneath, we do have just a very basic tuck spot that we are just going to put down over here. We don't necessarily, we could wait and mat and then put this down and then mat this, but don't know that it's really necessary because I'm not actually going to attach on the ends. I'm just going to go along the bottom of this because we're going to use this to tuck multiple things in here as far as, you know, tags and photo mats that are going to help hold this whole section closed. So let's just get that down. All right, so now we can do our other waterfall. So same thing again, we're going to fold and burnish. Okay, I'm going to turn this upside down again. And I am just going to, if you want to get real precise and measure, you absolutely can. I'm just going to eyeball about where the center is. Put that first one down. Do our second one. If you want to make this a little bit easier on yourself, you can actually put this on this flap before you put it in the book. And we're going to do the same thing with this last flap that we did with the waterfalls under there. That this last one we're going to attach so you don't have that extra tab that just kind of sits there. Okay, so there we go. The left side of our book is complete. For our right side, this is going to be very, very straightforward. We have a flap that is 10.5 by 9 3/4. With the 9 3/4 side at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score this at 1 inch. And then again at 3/4 of an inch. And I do already have this scored in case your score line's going wonky. It's really not. It's already scored. That's gonna, really you could do it either way. I'm gonna have this open to the right. You could put it so that this gusset and whatnot is towards the inside of the book and have it open the other direction. It's entirely up to you. And then we're gonna do a pocket and a flap that are going underneath that. So for the flap to close the pocket, this is going to be 8 inches by 9 inches. With the 9-inch side at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Okay, so it's going to give you a 1/2 inch gusset. The pocket is going to be 6 by 11. We're going to score this with the 11-inch side at the top of the scoreboard at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch. And turn it all the way around and repeat. So 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5. You're then going to turn it with the 6-inch side at the top of the scoreboard, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so this is going to be a little expanding pocket. And where are my scissors? Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to cut to the 3rd score line along the 3/4 inch score line. Okay, so you can see we've got our 1/2 inch and then our 3/4 inch, and then you've got your 3, and then you're going to cut up along the 1.5. Okay, so you're going to cut out that little square down there. You're going to do that on both sides. Okay, and there is the base for our pocket. Before we put the pocket in there, we do want to get our flap in here, but we want ribbon on this one. So I think I'm going to use the red seam binding. Yep. Okay, let me grab some score tape. This is 1/2 inch score tape. And I'm going to just pull off a couple of pieces. And I am actually going to use my ruler to center this up. Okay. When I have one side, then I can just flip this over, go straight across to my other side. Okay. So I'm going to cut probably 24 inches. 2 pieces. I'd rather start out long than have it not be long enough. Because, trust me, I have a habit of making it too short. Okay, so we're going to get the backing off the score tape. We're going to put that down there. And same thing on the other side. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and put our flap down. So again, you've got a 1 inch tab and then a 3/4 inch gusset. I'm going to fold it on the 1 inch tab. I'm going to miter this. Should have done it on my other ones. Didn't. It's okay. If you don't miter it, it's fine. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And that is going to go all the way to the outside edge, and then it's going to be flush top and bottom. Okay. Extra glue off there. And once that's down, I'm just going to fold back on itself, and there we have our gusset. Okay. Now, the pocket. So, let's start with the actual pocket itself. I am going to fold just the 1/2 inch flap on the bottom and fold and burnish. Okay. I'm going to do my sides. And the sides, you're going to do a zigzag fold. Okay. I'm going to do that on both sides. All right. So I am going to glue my 1/2 inch tab down first at the bottom here. But before I do that, I am going to put this in here, fold my side up, make sure I'm not too close to the gusset, and we're good. You know, when I tell you this is 6 by 11, I would cut it just maybe a 1/16 of an inch shy, because then you're going to be sure that this is going to fit. Okay. So get that in there. Fold it back and just burnish that down. Okay. And then we will push back against itself to get that 1/4 inch gusset at the bottom. Okay. Once you have that, then you can open this back up and get glue on your tabs for the side. Okay. Make sure that ribbon's out of the way. I'm just pinching these in that gusset, folding it down and over, making sure that those sides don't bulge out, and then burnishing it down. Okay? So you can turn around this way, take your bone folder, really get in there and burnish that. Our flap, I'm going to go ahead and miter just a bit. I'm going to fold just my first tab, and then I'm going to glue this on the top. Make sure I'm lining up. I'm going to go all the way to the top. Burnish that down, and then you can fold back on itself to get your tab. Now, with this closure, you can do a ribbon, you can do a magnet, whatever it is that you think is going to work best. I'm still kind of undecided. In fact, really, this is going to be heavy enough. You could do it without any kind of closure down there, and you'd be fine. So let me turn this back around. So there you've got your nice expandable pocket for all your loose photos and, you know, park maps and all that kind of thing if you are doing this as a Disney birthday album. This, of course, like I said, I left it good and long, so I've got more than enough, you know, ribbon to play with to get that tied off there. And this will all fold up just like so, nice and compact. And let's go ahead and get our ribbon on here for the closure. So this is about 26 inches. I am just going to split it in half. So about right there. And I'm going to grab my score tape again and my ruler. And again, I'm just going to center this up. Flip it over, grab another piece of score tape. And again, just gonna use my ruler to get that good and centered. It's probably bigger than I need it to be. And again, I'll go ahead and put my ribbon on here. Rather than struggle, get your pokey tool, Jennifer. That would make a lot more sense. It's been a weird day today. Okay, that's one side. Here is our other side. And there you go. There is your folio. All that's left to do is just mat some of the cut aparts or just make some photo mats to put into your tuck spot here. So, like so. That will hold all of that closed. We've got our ribbon here. All that's left to do is just to mat and decorate.